If you have ever crossed the border into Canada or visited one of these chains in the United States, you might want to think twice before ordering. We looked at the biggest Canadian fast food chains that Americans love, and what we found is shocking. From deadly bacteria outbreaks, to worker abuse, to spying on customers through their phones, these companies have secrets they do not want you to know about. Number 1. Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is the biggest fast food chain in Canada. They have over 3,500 locations across the country and bring in over $9 billion every year. Many Americans know this chain from locations near the border or from their expansion into northern states. But behind the friendly image of coffee and donuts is a company with a very dark history. Let us start with the Listeria scandal. In October 2025, Tim Hortons found itself at the center of a class action lawsuit over contaminated onions that were laced with Listeria bacteria. This is the same deadly germ that killed 23 people in the Maple Leaf Foods disaster back in 2008. The lawsuit says Tim Hortons failed to follow proper food safety rules and let contaminated food reach customers. If these claims are proven true, it could mean the company put profits ahead of customer safety. But the food problems go far beyond one lawsuit. Just this year, 5 different Tim Hortons locations in Montreal were found guilty of food safety violations. Court records show these restaurants had problems with pests, including rodents and insects. One location was fined $6,000 after being caught twice for the same problems. The government food safety inspectors found dirty premises, equipment that was not clean, and food stored at the wrong temperatures. And here is the scary part. Some of these locations only got caught because customers complained. How many problems never get found? In November 2025, a former Tim Hortons worker came forward with shocking claims about what goes on inside these restaurants. The worker described staff touching food after handling money, garbage, phones, and their own faces. He said employees did not use gloves properly. Expired drinks were served to customers. Coffee pots were left sitting way past their safe time limit. The worker claimed that 9 out of 10 coffees served are expired, especially in the afternoon. He said the steeped tea was always expired too. But wait, there is more. The worker said the local health unit rarely catches these problems because the stores get warned before inspections. He claimed he was assigned to rush around and clean up the locations before the inspectors arrived, so the inspections were not showing what really happens day to day. They were seeing a cleaned-up version that did not match reality. Now let us talk about the worker abuse scandal. Tim Hortons has faced multiple accusations of mistreating temporary foreign workers. Workers from the Philippines filed human rights complaints saying they did not receive overtime pay, were forced to live in housing owned by their boss, and were threatened with deportation if they complained. One worker claimed the franchise owner reduced his hours from 40 per week to just 15 after he raised concerns. Workers said they were driven to the bank by their boss, who waited while they cashed their paychecks to take back the overtime money they had been paid. The stories keep coming. 4 Mexican workers launched a human rights complaint saying they faced racist slurs and bad treatment at a Tim Hortons in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. They claimed the company created a toxic workplace. When investigators tried to look into these claims, Tim Hortons argued they had no control over what happens at franchise locations. They tried to get the case thrown out. The company that puts its name and logo on thousands of restaurants suddenly claimed they have nothing to do with how workers are treated inside those same restaurants. In December 2025, it came out that Tim Hortons has been lobbying the government for over 18 months to raise the cap on temporary foreign workers. They want to go from 20% to 30% foreign workers at each location. Why? Because foreign workers can be paid less and are less likely to complain. Reports say franchise owners prefer hiring temporary workers because they get government subsidies that reduce their labor costs. One teenager in Picton, Ontario, even claimed she was pressured into a fake marriage scheme to help a foreign worker get residency. That case is now being investigated by Border Services. And then there is the spying scandal. In June 2020, a journalist discovered that the Tim Hortons app was tracking his location every few minutes, even when the app was closed. He found this out when he made a request to see what data the company had on him. A joint investigation by privacy authorities from 4 Canadian provinces confirmed that Tim Hortons violated privacy laws. They were tracking customers without their knowledge or permission. The company was collecting sensitive location data that had nothing to do with ordering coffee. They said they wanted to use it for targeted advertising, but they never actually used the data. They just collected it and stored it. The privacy authorities said Tim Hortons did not have proper protections in place for this data. They did not do any assessment before launching the app. They misled users about what information was being collected. For a company that serves millions of customers every day, this kind of carelessness with personal information is unacceptable. One more thing about Tim Hortons. In 2003, the company's own co-founder, Ron Joyce, confirmed that they replaced fresh baked donuts with frozen dough shipped in from factories. He said this was not something he would have done if he still owned the company. The donuts you think are made fresh in the store are actually mass-produced in a factory and trucked in frozen. In 2011, Tim Hortons sold their half of the factory to a Swiss food company for $475 million. So now your Canadian Timbit is made by a company from Switzerland. Number 2, Freshii. Freshii markets itself as a healthy fast food option. They have over 300 locations and sell things like salads, wraps, and smoothies. Many Americans see Freshii as a better choice than traditional fast food. The company was founded by Matthew Corin, who built the brand on the promise of making healthy food convenient and accessible. But in 2022, this company sparked outrage across Canada when people found out how they were treating their workers. Here is what happened. Freshii started using something called a virtual cashier at some of their Ontario locations. When customers walked up to the counter, they saw a screen with a person's face on it. That person would take their order. Freshii called this system Percy, naming it after a character from the children's show Thomas and Friends. The character Percy is known for being reliable and eager to please. But the reality behind this cute name was anything but pleasant. The person on the screen was not in Canada. They were sitting in a call center in Nicaragua, nearly 6,000 kilometers away. Some workers were also based in Bolivia and Pakistan, according to reports. And how much were these workers being paid? $3.75 an hour. Compare that to the $15 minimum wage in Ontario. Freshii was paying these workers less than a third of what they would have to pay a Canadian worker. The company saved about $10 an hour in labor costs by doing this. When the Toronto Star broke this story, people were furious. The president of the Canadian Labour Congress called it stomach-churning corporate greed. She said the company was shipping jobs to offshore locations to pay less than a third of the minimum wage. A government member from Ontario said this was exploitation of foreign workers and called for new labor laws. Freshii tried to defend itself. They set up a Twitter account for their virtual cashier system called Percy and posted a thread saying this was about a labor shortage, not about replacing people or paying less. But people were not buying it. The backlash was so strong that Freshii's founder and longtime CEO stepped down just weeks after the story broke. The company never admitted any connection between the controversy and his departure. What makes this even worse is that Freshii used to talk about how much they valued their workers. In 2018, their chief people officer said they wanted people to feel like owners, not just employees. She talked about creating a culture where people felt something greater than just having a job. Then 4 years later, they replaced human cashiers with screens connected to workers making less than $4 an hour. The lawyers said what Freshii did was completely legal. Since the workers were not physically in Ontario, they only had to follow Nicaragua's labor laws, not Canada's. But just because something is legal does not make it right. The public saw this for what it was: a company trying to squeeze every penny out of their operations while hiding it behind a screen. If you are finding this video helpful, click the subscribe button right now. We make videos like this every week, showing you what the food industry does not want you to know. And what is coming next might really shock you. Number 3, A&W Canada. A&W Canada is actually a completely separate company from the American A&W chain. They split back in 1972 when Unilever bought all the Canadian locations. Today, A&W Canada has over 1,000 locations across the country, making it one of the biggest burger chains in Canada. Many Americans who visit Canada are surprised to find that A&W tastes different and better up north. The menu includes Canadian favorites like poutine that you will not find at American locations. A&W Canada has positioned itself as the patriotic choice, especially during trade tensions with the United States. The company is 100% Canadian-owned. During the 2025 trade war, Canadians shared their love for A&W online and encouraged others to eat there instead of American chains like McDonald's and Wendy's. But being Canadian-owned does not mean the company is perfect. But this chain has had its share of problems too. In the big CBC Marketplace investigation back in 2014, A&W was one of the chains examined for health violations. The investigation looked at almost 5,000 restaurant inspection reports from 5 major Canadian cities. They found that almost 1 in 4 inspections had at least one major violation. Major violations include things like improper food handling, not washing hands properly, and not keeping food at safe temperatures. The investigation used hidden cameras to document what was really happening inside these restaurants. They found garbage strewn all over kitchen floors at some locations. They found hand washing stations without proper hot water. They found problems with cross-contamination of ice. A retired health inspector who reviewed the footage said he would have walked into one place, walked right back out, and filed a closure notice immediately. A&W Canada has marketed itself as being better than American fast food. They talk about using beef raised without hormones and chickens raised humanely. But food safety experts have questioned whether this marketing really matches reality. One blog called out the company for what they called hormone-free hucksterism, pointing out that saying no hormones means nothing if you cannot guarantee the food is actually free from harmful bacteria. The company was also caught up in the false advertising scandal around aged vanilla. A class action lawsuit claimed that A&W root beer and cream soda were labeled as made with aged vanilla when they actually used artificial vanilla flavoring. The company eventually agreed to pay $15 million to settle the case. They denied any wrongdoing, but paid up anyway. If you bought A&W root beer between 2016 and 2023, you might be entitled to money from that settlement. Number 4, Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza is one of the biggest sit-down restaurant chains in Canada. They have over 380 locations and call themselves a sports bar and family restaurant. Many Americans discover Boston Pizza when they travel to Canada. The chain was founded back in 1964 in Edmonton, Alberta. Today it is owned by Jim Treliving, who many Canadians know from the television show Dragon's Den. But behind the friendly atmosphere and celebrity ownership, there are some concerning issues. Boston Pizza has had legal battles over the years. Back in 2002, they sued Boston Market over the use of the word Boston in Canada. McDonald's, which owned Boston Market at the time, tried to argue that Boston Pizza's trademarks were invalid. The legal fight went on for years. When a company spends that much time and money fighting over a name instead of focusing on food quality, it tells you something about their priorities. In the same CBC Marketplace investigation that looked at A&W, Boston Pizza was also examined. The investigation found repeated major violations at family dining chains, including Boston Pizza. These violations included problems with temperature control, food handling, hand washing, and pest control. The investigation found that across all chains, there were violations documented again and again at the same locations. Hidden cameras showed garbage strewn across kitchen floors. They showed hand washing stations without proper hot water. They showed ice that was cross-contaminated. A retired health inspector who spent 36 years doing inspections was shocked by what he saw. He said he would have closed some of these places immediately. What is really troubling is that health inspection reports are hard to find in many parts of Canada. Some provinces do not even make the results public, so customers have no way of knowing if the restaurant they are eating at has a history of problems. The restaurant industry actually opposes making inspection grades public. They say the yellow cards for conditional pass are misleading. But how is giving customers information misleading? They just do not want you to know. Canadian households spend almost $2,000 every year dining out. Health Canada says that half of the 4 million cases of food poisoning every year come from restaurants. In one outbreak back in 2008, a Harvey's and Swiss Chalet restaurant made over 200 people sick with E. coli. These are not small problems. These are serious health issues that can land people in the hospital. The investigation found that even when violations are found, many restaurants just get a warning. They fix the problem temporarily, pass a follow-up inspection, and then the same problems come back again. The system is designed to protect restaurants, not customers. And the chains fight hard against any attempt to make things more transparent. Number 5, Booster Juice. Booster Juice started in Alberta back in 1999 and has grown to over 400 locations across Canada. The founder, Dale Wishawan, opened the first location in Sherwood Park, a community east of Edmonton. He tested the idea by offering smoothies to family and neighbors before opening the store. The company set a Canadian record by opening 50 stores in their first 2 years. They market themselves as a healthy option serving smoothies and fresh juice. Americans visiting Canada often see this as a better alternative to sugary drinks. But customer complaints tell a different story. Booster Juice has a customer service rating of just 1.5 out of 5 stars based on consumer reviews. People describe being mostly dissatisfied with their experience. Common complaints include inconsistent quality, drinks that taste like flavored water instead of actual smoothies, and products that do not match what was ordered. When you are paying nearly $10 for a smoothie, you expect to get what you paid for. One customer who visited Booster Juice nearly every day for over 2 years finally gave up after 9 out of 10 visits left them disappointed. They said the drinks no longer tasted like they used to. Another customer in Newfoundland said they visited 4 different locations regularly and found so much inconsistency that they stopped going. The smoothies had the consistency of a glass of milk instead of an actual thick smoothie. Reviews described staff at some locations as rude and unprofessional. One person described being treated like a criminal by a supervisor who created a scene in front of other customers. The customer was banned from the store and left crying. These are not the kind of experiences you expect from a company that markets itself as healthy and friendly. The food and drink industry relies heavily on consistency. When you go to a chain restaurant, you expect to get the same product every time. But with Booster Juice, customers report wildly different experiences depending on the location and even depending on the day. For a drink that costs around $10, customers expect quality. Instead, many feel like they are being ripped off. Number 6, Pita Pit. Pita Pit started in Kingston, Ontario back in 1995. They now have locations across Canada, the United States, and other countries around the world. The chain markets itself as a fresher, healthier alternative to traditional fast food. Many Americans discover Pita Pit near college campuses or in food courts. But the company has had food safety concerns, just like any other fast food chain. Customer reports describe getting sick after eating at Pita Pit. One person in Windsor, Ontario reported that their chicken tasted funny, and 3 hours later they were throwing up. Food poisoning complaints like this happen at every restaurant chain, but they show that healthy marketing does not guarantee safe food. Pita Pit has disclaimers on their website and menu warn that they cannot guarantee an allergen-free environment. They tell customers with food allergies to refrain from eating their products entirely. For a company that markets itself as healthier, telling customers with allergies to just not eat, there is not exactly reassuring. Many restaurants are able to accommodate dietary restrictions. Pita Pit basically says they cannot. The company was acquired by a Quebec-based restaurant company in 2021. Under new ownership, the focus has shifted more toward expansion than quality. Customer reviews describe rushing and carelessness in food preparation. When staff are not taking pride in what they make, the food suffers. In the big CBC Marketplace investigation, fast food chains like Subway were examined for violations. The investigation found widespread problems across the industry with food handling and safety. Pita Pit operates in the same fast casual segment and faces the same pressures to cut costs and move quickly. That creates an environment where mistakes happen and customers get sick. Number 7, Extreme Pita. Extreme Pita is another Canadian pita chain that competes with Pita Pit. They market similar products like wraps and pitas filled with fresh ingredients, but they have faced many of the same challenges. The fast food industry in Canada has serious systemic problems. According to Health Canada, 2 million Canadians get sick from restaurant food every year. That is not a small number. These are real people who trusted that their food was safe and ended up in pain, in the hospital, or worse. The problem is that inspection systems are not catching all the problems. Restaurants often get advanced warning before inspections. They clean up for the inspector and then go back to their regular practices. The CBC Marketplace investigation found that even national chains with strict corporate standards had repeated violations at the same locations. What makes this even harder for customers is that many provinces do not make inspection results public. In Toronto, restaurants have to post their inspection grades where customers can see them. But in other cities, you have no idea if the restaurant you are walking into has a history of problems. The industry actively fights against transparency, saying that giving customers information is misleading. But who benefits from keeping customers in the dark? The fast food industry runs on thin margins. Every dollar counts. That means corners get cut on cleaning, on food storage, on worker training. The companies at the top make billions of dollars while the workers at the bottom make minimum wage and deal with customers who are in a hurry. It is a system designed to maximize profit, not to maximize safety. So what should you do? Here's the hard truth. You cannot fully trust any fast food chain to always get it right. The system is broken. From deadly bacteria outbreaks to worker exploitation to privacy violations, these companies have shown that they will put profits first. But there are some things you can do. Look up health inspection reports if they are available in your area. Pay attention to how a restaurant looks when you walk in. Is it clean? Are the workers handling food properly? Trust your instincts. If something does not look right, do not eat there. Be careful with allergens. Many of these chains cannot guarantee allergen-free environments. If you have a serious allergy, you are taking a risk every time you eat out. Ask questions. Make sure the staff know about your allergy, and watch how they prepare your food. Check your apps. If you are using restaurant apps, look at what permissions they are asking for. Do they need to track your location? Do they need access to your contacts? These companies have shown they will collect data without telling you. Protect your privacy. And remember, just because a company markets itself as healthy or Canadian or better than the competition does not mean it actually is. Marketing is designed to make you feel good about spending money. The reality behind the marketing is often very different. The food companies do not want you to know about their recall history, their health violations, their worker complaints. They want you to see the nice pictures and the friendly staff and trust that everything is fine. Now you know better. Be careful what you buy, stay safe, and see you next time.